Joe, good to see how you doing. Evening, how you been? How's things? Pure, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Evening, how's things? T, good to see you as well. How you doing? Hope you're well. Doing great, T. How you been? Hope you're well as well. Hello, brother Miles and CMF Comatose. Good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? How's things? Hi, Miles and CMF. Sam, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Mike, good day, Miles and CMF. Good to see you as well, Mike. How you doing, brother? How you been? Morning, Miles and CMF. Shelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? Morning. How you been? Hi, Miles. How's things? Arctic is great. Arctic is great. How you been? How's things? Thoughts on IOTA and Algo, Miles? They're not must-have projects in any sort of a way, in my opinion. But there's legitimate projects. IOTA is a legitimate project, so is Algo. Algo is also great in the financial sector. They're being tested on one bank in the EU, if I'm not mistaken. A while ago was the testing, but they're both legitimate projects. But for me, it's not must-have project for me. But great projects if you want to look into them. Why not? Evening all. Jeff, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles of CMF. Dennis, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, would you be able to turning wholesale CBDCs into crypto like XRP and XDC in the future? Would you be able to turn CBDCs in the future into cryptocurrencies? That's something we would have to get to see if we can. But in reality, we shouldn't be able to, but time will tell. Hello, Miles and CMF. Mav, good to see you. How you doing? How you been, Mav? How's things? Hey, Miles, hope you're good, man. I'm doing great. Zach, how you doing, brother? How you been? Morning, Miles and CMF. Solomon, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Evening, Miles. Evening, Miles and CMF. Manny, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Evening, Miles and CMF. Pierce, good to see you. How you doing, Pierce? How you been? Hi, Miles. Pablo, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, do you hold anything else outside your updated top 20? Do I hold anything else outside of my top 20? Yes. I hold 2 other crypto projects that I've revealed a long time ago to everyone. The only assets that I brought a very, very long time ago that I do own that's not inside my top 20 is because I don't want to recommend it to anyone. It's Shiba and Luna C. Long time ago. But I haven't sold them. I still got them on the sidelines. But it's nothing that I want to promote to other people to go for meme coins in any sort of a way. That's something that I brought a long time ago, and I'm stuck with it. And whatever happens with those projects. Is it worth buying some old phones to mine XLA, or is it not worth the investment? If you want to, XLA, in my opinion, has a great future ahead of itself in the privacy field. In the DeFi space is mostly going to be sticking towards, but it has a great future ahead of itself if you want to, So Miles, in the future, how possible to get more crypto if no money on your CBDCs? If all money is on CBDCs, how is it going to be possible to buy crypto? Well, you have time now to buy crypto. In the future, it's more like if you have crypto, if you don't have crypto, and if you're stuck on CBDCs, you're stuck on CBDCs. Everybody will have a CBDC, essentially a wallet in the future, no matter if you hold crypto or not, if you're rich or not. If you're poor, rich, middle class, whatever, everybody will get a CBDC wallet. But it's about if you have crypto now, you pile up now, and then later on you're good to go when CBDCs kick in. CMF, JP, let's go. How you doing, brother? Let's go. XCN, told you long time ago about XCN Jetpack. First of all, how you doing? And second of all, I haven't checked on XCN. If it has went up, I'm happy for you. Miles, how do you in the future borrow against XRP and never spend XRP? You use it as collateral with an establishment like a bank or essentially Nexo or something, some platforms like on those types of categories. And you just put down your crypto assets as collateral and borrow against them. You can do that right now on platforms like Nexo and so on. But you just put down your crypto assets as collateral and you borrow against it, and you have to pay back the money. If you don't, then your assets will get liquidated. Also, if your assets go below market value, then you'll probably have to top it up even more. Otherwise, your assets will get liquidated. There's a lot of essentially bullet points you would have to read before you actually borrow against your crypto assets. It's not as simple as it sounds. So it's better to know, to every single bullet point of what is required when you're borrowing against your assets. So you're fully aware that liquidation can happen on certain essentially aspects. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Lena, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, Miles. 2 questions. Go for it, Harris. First question, will regulations and adoption happen this year? Yes. Regulations will definitely be happening this year, in my opinion, 100%. We have a Trump presidency. How can it not? And second of all, we have some news to go through regarding the matter of regulations on tonight's live, which is extremely bullish news. And your second question regarding, if so, will XRP hit 3 digits this year? Well, XRP case gets dropped. That's first green light. Essentially dismissed or settled. And by the way, I have news regarding dismissal and settlements of SEC cases to go from tonight's live as well. So first green light, XRP case gets dismissed or settled. Second green light, regulations. Third green light is adoption. Sky's the limit after that. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Free and Feather. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Evening. Hi, Miles and CMF. George, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? So how can we understanding about borrowing against XRP and how can it happen? Will be liquidated. Well, when we get to that stage regarding borrowing against your when we get to the stage about borrowing against your crypto assets, I will be laying down, the bullet points for you of what could possibly happen and how you could get liquidated if you do borrow against your assets and you don't, make sure you're within the barriers. But I will essentially alert everyone of what it is and how you can borrow against it. And I'll also, have talks with HSBC Bank, for example, regarding borrow against your assets. So once I get in, I'll be bringing everybody else in. If you want to borrow against your crypto assets, it's completely optional from HSBC Bank or any other essentially establishment or banking organization. Hi, Miles and CMF. George, how you doing? Welcome to the CMF. Let's go. Miles, so if XRP hits 3 digits, what will happen to XDC? Hit the same? XDC will do incredibly well alongside XRP and XLM and HBAR and Cardano. Now, before, good evening, Miles on CMF, Bull XRP, perfect timing. Let me do the intro of tonight's live as well, and the disclaimer, and then I'll give you a breakdown of what we're going to be talking about. It's extremely bullish news tonight to go through on tonight's live, extremely bullish news. A lot of things are happening in the banking field, a lot of things are happening in the regulation field. So, welcome to the CMF Live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, the CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family. And my name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Miles. And I'm the host of this live Monday to Friday, 11:25 p.m. UK time. And on this live, I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations. These are vital information for you to know about regarding the world transforming into a digital space right before your eyes. And the disclaimer of this live show, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. And we also do Q&As on this live as well, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And I don't miss out on anyone's questions. I read everybody's questions one by one. I shout out your name, and I also give you a response. Now, before we continue further, I just want to take a second to say, by the way, this is episode 246 of the CMF Live. Right now, you're watching episode 246 of the CMF Live, which is incredible that one episode 246. Also, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's liked this live, because I'm getting notifications from X right now. So thank you so much to everybody who's liked this live right at the beginning of the live on X. Thanks so much to everyone who's liked it, retweeted this live, and put a comment outside the live as well on X. CMF members, thanks so much for doing that. And also new members, thanks so much for doing that as well. Also, everyone else watching on YouTube, thank you so much for liking the live as well, and also putting a comment outside the live. It does really help to grow this live, essentially, and grow this family even bigger, CMF. So if you haven't done it already, please go and like the live, retweet and comment, and like each other's comments as well inside the comment section on X. Now, let me give you a breakdown of what we're going to be talking essentially about on tonight's live. Some of them are extremely bullish news, and some of them are just information that you should know about. Now, we're going to be talking about tonight's live. These are the breakdowns of what we're going to go through. We're going to be talking about the SEC new crypto task force. So even though Trump hasn't shouted out crypto in his big speech, he is still pro-crypto. He is trying to make America the capital of cryptocurrencies, and there are signs to prove that. One of them being that the SEC has created a crypto task force, and Hester Peirce, who's also known as the crypto mom, is very pro-crypto, and she's the head of trying to bring regulations inside the SEC for cryptocurrencies to be able to be essentially adapted into the financial systems of the US and so on. So we're going to go through that on tonight's live. That's the first news we're going to cover. Then we're going to be talking about tonight's live regarding Coinbase CEO essentially talking about how stablecoin regulations are heading towards the US, and that one particular stablecoin is about to be kicked out of the US. When we get to that news, I'll reveal what essentially that stablecoin is that won't have a chance of operating in the US by the looks of it. Then we're going to be talking about MicroStrategy on tonight's live. In other words, MicroStrategy brought another huge amount of Bitcoin, and they're not slowing down. They're trying to add more money to buy more Bitcoin. Then we're going to be talking about the US Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, on tonight's live as well. Then we're going to be talking about Bank of America's CEO, new perspective, and this perspective came out at the Davos, essentially, World Economic Forum event. Before we go through that, next we're going to be talking about tonight's live regarding Ethereum. Vitalik Buterin is not doing too well, and I'll explain what I mean once we get to that news. Then we're going to be talking about Utah, who is essentially another state that's came forward and said, you know what? We want to create some sort of crypto reserve as well. But what's interesting about Utah is they're not just going to be creating a Bitcoin reserve. Utah wants to create a crypto reserve. So they're willing to expand beyond Bitcoin. Now, Utah is essentially joining Texas and Ohio and essentially North Dakota. And there's so many other US states that are coming to this crypto bandwagon, which is great to see. Then we're going to be talking about the FCA on tonight's live, the Financial Conduct Authority, which is equivalent of the SEC in the United Kingdom in terms of how far they've come and why are they not moving fast enough compared to the rest of the world. Then we're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding the matters of the new ETF applications that have happened since Trump has taken essentially the presidency. A lot of ETFs have happened. We're also going to be talking about essentially the national debt of the US and how one particular crypto asset, according to one exchange, can actually help wipe out or help the US debt. We're also going to go through on tonight's live regarding the matters of Ripple, a perspective coming in from a former executive of Ripple. And those are the news, essentially, segments. Those are the news topics we are going to be discussing on tonight's live. Now, the first news we are going to be discussing on tonight's live is regarding the new crypto, essentially, US task force that's just been created overnight. Gary Gensler left yesterday, and today the SEC has announced we've created a crypto task force. We're bringing out the regulations within a week. Essentially, they're estimating within a week the SEC is going to have crypto regulations. Gary Gensler had 4 years to bring out crypto regulations, and the new SEC task force that was created overnight, pretty much overnight on paper, we don't know about behind the scenes, but overnight on paper is about to be bringing essentially crypto regulations within a week. So that's the first news we are going to be covering in tonight's live. But before we go through the first news, let me just go quickly inside the comment section. Then we go straight into the first news, and then back to comments, news, comments, news, comments, news, comments. You get the gist. Now, let's see what's going on inside the comment section. Then we go straight into the first news, which is extremely positive for the crypto space. Hey, Miles, the CMF, Stormy. Good to see you as well. How you doing, Stormy? How you been? If you're spending the XRP and never buy again, then you have nothing left on stock on CBDCs. Yes, yes. The best way is obviously to borrow against crypto assets in the long-term way. Yes, definitely. DeFi will take over. I agree. DeFi is going to be in a huge, essentially, market space, massive market space. Hello, Miles and CMF. Sorry to be late. I hope that my family had a great day, a good day or night. Scott, good to see you. How you doing, brother? How you been? Hi, brother. Camel, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? How you been? Miles, congratulations on episode 246 of the CMF Live. I'm an OG. I've been here for a long ride. Let's go, Scott. So then, how can the business get coin if they can no purchase cryptos unless they buy for Shiba? No, there is ways that businesses can do it. They probably wholesale CBDCs can be turned to stablecoins, so we'd have to see that. That's more of a matter of once we get to that stage, you know, we can cross that bridge. In other words, CMF, please tag at live in your comments outside the live on X to help boost viewership out of the people. Yes, please do that if you already haven't done that. CMF members, if you haven't already, go on X, right? If you're watching this on X, go to the comment section of this live, not this comment section, but the comment section outside of the live, and just tag at live. Definitely do that because it does help boost viewership. Shelly is correct. We test tried it yesterday and it did definitely boost it. And Miles, realistically, how long having left essentially to buy more coins I don't have much pesos, so what can I do? You still have time, to be fairly honest, but you still have time. Don't worry. Hello to my CMF on YouTube. I hope that you had a good day or night. I love and respect my family. Let's go, Scott. Epic life today. Let's go. Let's go for sure, because we have to go for the first news now. Hester Peirce, the crypto mom, essentially, is her tag for the crypto space. Hester Peirce was an SEC commissioner, who's still actually an SEC commissioner, who's always been pro-crypto, and she's always been against Gary Gensler. In fact, Hester Peirce also once went against Gary Gensler in front of the Senate by telling them essentially that the SEC going after crypto projects is not the SEC's agenda, it's the chairman's agenda. She's always been pro-crypto, she's always been against Gary Gensler, and now that Gary Gensler left yesterday, she is now in charge. Hester Peirce is now in charge of a new crypto task force inside the SEC that's been created, that's going to bring the rules and regulations, and apparently within a week. So, crypto mom Hester Peirce to lead the new, essentially, SEC crypto task force. SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce, aka Crypto Mom, has been appointed to lead a new crypto task force at the regulatory agency focused on creating comprehensive and clear regulatory frameworks for crypto assets. By the way, again, it took Gary Gensler had 4 years and he did nothing. They are about to be bringing in regulations within a week, is what they're estimating. Under President Trump's administration, the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission, SEC, has launched a dedicated crypto task force to create clear regulatory frameworks for cryptocurrency industry. So once again, if anybody was disappointed, if anybody was disappointed about yesterday, Trump not mentioning anything about crypto, the man is still pro-crypto. Trump is still pro-crypto. And the only reason a crypto task force has now been created inside the SEC is because of Trump. Frameworks, essentially, this initiative reflects the government's acknowledgement of the rapidly evolving crypto landscape and the need, essentially, for an evolving crypto landscape, well-defined rules to foster growth while ensuring investor protection. The primary mission of the SEC Crypto Task Force is to establish a comprehensive and transparent regulations for the crypto industry. This move comes after years of essentially Gary Gensler wasting everybody's time and surrounding crypto regulations, and often leading to market uncertainty and hindering innovation inside the US. By providing clear regulatory guidelines, the task force inside the SEC aims to create an environment where businesses can innovate responsibly inside the US and investors can feel confident participating in the crypto market space in the US. President Trump's administration emphasized that this step is a part of a broader effort, essentially, to position the US as a global leader in the blockchain and cryptocurrency sector. The task force will engage the industry's leaders, regulatory experts, and other stakeholders to ensure that the guidelines are both effective and practical. For years, the cryptocurrency industry has faced challenges due to inconsistent regulatory approaches. The formation of the Crypto Task Force is seen as a significant step towards addressing these issues inside the United States regarding the crypto industry. And industry experts believe this new initiative coming from the SEC, could lead to the US adapting a more standardized approach, reducing regulatory conflicts between crypto companies and the SEC among federal and state authorities. The SEC also plans to focus on investor education, ensuring that participants in the crypto markets are both aware of the opportunities that crypto brings and the risks. This essentially dual approach aims to strike a balance between promoting innovation and safeguarding investors' interest. The launch of the Crypto Task Force signifies a proactive shift, essentially, in how the US government views and regulates cryptocurrencies. By prioritizing essentially clear regulations, the SEC aims to eliminate confusion and legal uncertainties that often stifle industry growth. As the global cryptocurrency market continues to expand, the US must adapt forward-thinking regulatory stance to remain competitive. The task force essentially success will likely influence how other countries will approach cryptocurrency regulations and potentially setting a new standard for the global market, which is facts. Every country is going to be essentially following America's footsteps into this crypto market space, because the US is the biggest market space in the world. And the more the US goes towards essentially crypto regulations and becoming a crypto hub, the rest of the world will follow their footsteps, which means more money will be entering the crypto space as the days go by. And in terms of essentially the bullet points of the SEC task force, let's just, let me give you quickly a drop down of the bullet points. SEC acting chairman Mark, who has launched the essentially task force just one day after former chairman Gary Gensler left the role. To date, the SEC has relied primarily on enforcement actions to regulate crypto, essentially suing them and essentially not bringing out any sort of regulations, but often adapting novel and untested legal interpretations along the way, wrote the SEC in a statement. Straight after Gary Gensler left, they created this task force with the help of Trump. For the first time, the agency, the SEC, the agency echoed and acknowledged crypto industry concerns about the absence of practical solutions for those seeking to register. Because the SEC, Gary Gensler, beforehand used to tell crypto companies, come to the SEC and register with us. And any crypto company that approached the SEC beforehand, instead of getting registered with the SEC, they would get sued by the SEC the next day. Now, completely changed. The moment Gary Gensler left yesterday and today coming out with this major announcement, we have regulations coming in place within establishment of a week. We accept every crypto company to come towards us and register with us. There's no longer that approach of suing crypto companies anymore. We're going to come to a conclusion. We're going to bring out regulations, and we're going to be transparent with the crypto companies and the people, the investors. The task force essentially intends to develop new frameworks in collaboration with commission staff and public, essentially, inputs. And I look forward to the efforts of Commissioner Hester Peirce to lead the regulatory policy on crypto, said Mark, and essentially which involves multiple SEC divisions and offices. Mark will be essentially attending the SEC chairmanship for the time being, and he put Hester Peirce in charge of the crypto task force. These two people that are running the SEC, they are pro-crypto. As you can see, overnight, essentially, they completely did a 360 on the SEC and became pro-crypto the moment Gary Gensler left. Peirce also is famous. Hester Peirce is also famous within the crypto community for favoring essentially a lighter regulation, opposing the SEC's regulation by enforcement approach, and defending the launch of crypto, essentially spot ETFs, long before her fellow commissioners. Hester Peirce, the SEC commissioner, was attending crypto essentially events, and she was doing speeches on stage in favor of cryptocurrencies. And once she even said, she said, as an SEC commissioner a long time ago, she said, we don't even know why we're suing essentially Ripple. It makes no sense to sue Ripple. She even said, it makes no sense for us to be rejecting essentially crypto ETFs. She's very pro-crypto, and so is Mark, and they're both in charge now, and Gary's gone. Republican essentially President Donald Trump was essentially coming in yesterday as the president of the United States, fueling bullish essentially speculations on what pro-crypto actions he and his party may deliver during his essentially early days. So, as you can see, even though Trump didn't make any sort of announcements about cryptocurrencies, the man still hasn't forgotten about the crypto space. Trump has not forgotten about the crypto space because Trump is the one that gave the green light to Mark to create a crypto task force overnight. And then Mark put Hester Peirce in charge in the SEC for the crypto task force to bring in the regulations. She's pro-crypto. She's known as the crypto mom. He's pro-crypto as the SEC commissioner for the essentially as the SEC chairman for the time being, Mark. And we're going towards regulations overnight. As you can see, Trump is taking fast action for the crypto space. He hasn't forgotten about the crypto space. He's sticking to his promises. And even though he didn't mention crypto yesterday, it doesn't mean he's forgotten about the crypto space. He is taking action. And as I said yesterday, actions speak louder than words. As you can see, he is still taking action, and this is day one pretty much still, which is amazing, to be fairly honest. I know we have more to talk about regarding also the settlements and dismissals of cases as well regarding the SEC. A little bit, essentially towards the middle of the live, we're going to talk about the dismissals and the settlements from the SEC as well. But next, we're going to be talking about Coinbase's CEO. We're going to be talking about Coinbase's CEO talking about stablecoin regulations. So sticking to the subject of essentially regulations inside the United States for the time being. Coinbase's CEO came out and said that the US is about to be getting a lot of stablecoin regulations as well. And that Coinbase's CEO thinks or knows that one particular stablecoin is not going to be compliant in the US. Take a guess of what you think, which stablecoin in Coinbase CEO's mindset is not going to be compliant in the essentially in the US. If you thought to yourself it's USDT, you're correct. According to Coinbase's CEO, he sees that USDT is not in most cases going to be compliant in the US in any sort of a way, and that is pretty much goodbye USDT very soon. So Coinbase's CEO future stablecoin regulations likely deemed to full US Treasury backing. Coinbase's CEO Brian Armstrong believes the forthcoming US stablecoin regulation could require issuers to back their dollar-dominated tokens entirely with the US Treasury bills, a move that could make it harder for offshore companies to serve the American market, like Tether. Tether is going to be struggling as a stablecoin as we progress further into regulations, and something has to replace Tether. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, Brian Armstrong said he expects stablecoin laws to become clearer in the near future. Two requirements could be at all that stablecoin operators in the United States fully back their tokens with US Treasury bonds and complete periodic essentially audits. Audits is something that's missing from Tether. So for a fact, Tether is going to be banned in the US. Because the only reason Tether couldn't abide by the MiCA regulations is because they didn't want to hold any of their assets in EU banks. And second of all, they didn't want to be transparent, which now the US is also asking for transparency if they want to be a regulated stablecoin in the US. So it seems like USDT's days are definitely numbered. He signaled essentially out stablecoin issuer Tether. This is Brian Armstrong. He's saying these things at the World Economic Forum event today. He said these things, that he's actually said, he came out and said Tether is the one that's most likely going to be non-compliant in the US out of all of the stablecoins. As one company that could face the brunt of new legislations, it's Tether, USDT. Brian Armstrong said Coinbase will even delist USDT if Tether could not comply with any new US regulations. Coinbase is already ready to delist USDT in the US. In the meantime, Coinbase also intends to continue offering USDT services to help customers access their crypto assets for the time being. He said there are a lot of people with Tether, and we want to give them an off-ramp if we want to help them transition to a system that we think is more secure, Brian Armstrong said. I said long time ago, I said another reason why Tether isn't going to be, useful as we progress down the road. I said because Tether is not an American company. And I said the number one stablecoin in the world, being the US dollars, being USDT and Tether is not an American company, that won't add up for the US. The US wants the number one stablecoin in the world that's going to be a US dollar. It has to be an American company. For crying out loud, if you want to get more obvious, TikTok's not an American company, and it's a social platform. And America wants a piece of the pie. So what makes Tether think that they don't want a piece of the pie? If there's going to be a number one stablecoin that's going to be a US dollars in the world operating 24/7, it has to be an American company. That's so clear when it comes to the US. As Cointelegraph, for example, reported, Coinbase moved to delist essentially USDT and other non-compliant essentially stablecoins in the EU market space. Coinbase has already done this and essentially in the EU market space. However, Coinbase essentially spokesperson told Cointelegraph that relisting are possible if stablecoins achieve MiCA essentially compliance on a later date. So if Tether wants to become compliant for some oddly reason, decides to register themselves in the United States and actually show full transparency that they do have assets backing their stablecoins, then sure, open doors, open arms, welcome in. But if Tether was going to show transparency, they would have shown it to the MiCA regulations in the EU. If they didn't show it to the EU, they're not going to be showing it to the US either. US President Donald Trump has signaled that cryptocurrencies will play an important role, a very important role, in his essentially second term. With stablecoins arguably being the top priority as well. Republican Representatives Tom Emmer said Congress' first crypto priority will be passing comprehensive market structures and stablecoin essentially legislations. Tom Emmer was recently appointed vice chairman of the House Subcommittee on Digital Assets and Financial Technology and Artificial Intelligence. He said pro-crypto legislation is now able to move forward with Republican-controlled Congress, and former Securities and Exchange Commission Gary Gensler is out. And in his words, I said out, but in the words of the chairman of the House of the Subcommittee of Digital Assets and Financial Technology and Artificial Intelligence, in his words, he said he's happy to put Gary Gensler in the bin. That's his words. I said he's happy that Gary Gensler's out, but in his words, he's happy he's putting Gary Gensler in the waste bin. Stablecoin legislation is intended to cement the US dollar's position as a global reserve currency. That's what a stablecoin for the US is supposed to do. It's supposed to be an American company that comes out with the #1 US stablecoin, not Tether, who is not owned by the US. At least according to the Payment Stablecoin Act proposed by the US Senators Cynthia Luminous already. So, a long time ago, an event happened in New Delhi in India, and that event was called the G20 Summit, where all the most powerful central countries come together and sit and discuss matters about what's to happen next. And one of the matters that was discussed in the New Delhi G20 Summit was essentially that if we're all going to be having rules and regulations inside the crypto space, they should be somewhat similar. They said we should treat the crypto space. Every powerful country came together, and the G20 countries, they said if we're going to, bring out regulations inside the crypto space, they said we should treat it like how we treat planes in the sky, as I told everyone last year. They said the same way every plane has the same rules in the sky, no matter what country they're flying over, cryptocurrencies should have the similarity in rules and regulations between G20 countries, so there's no confusion. And I said, if the EU is going to ban USDT, in most cases, other countries inside the G20 are also going to be banning USDT. Whatever one G20 country does, that's a huge news. USDT ban, #1 stablecoin. Most likely, other G20 countries will follow in suit, which means Tether's days, USDT, its days are pretty much numbered. And another stablecoin has to take its place. And take a guess of what stablecoin is most likely going to be taking its place. For the time being, USDC is slowly coming in and taking Tether space in the essentially EU market space. But RLUSD is going to be the #1 replacement of a US dollar. It's just destined to be the #1 stablecoin in the world. It is. And if some people don't want to agree on that subject, and some people think, no, if USDT is gone, then it's going to be USDC. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. It's going to be RLUSD. It's going to be Ripple stablecoin. That's going to be the #1 stablecoin in the world in terms of a US dollar stablecoin, an American company. And even though Circle is also an American company, they don't have the chaps to cut it. Now, and Coinbase is already ready to get rid of it. Coinbase's CEO at the World Economic Forum event today said they're ready, to ban USDT in the US. He's just waiting for the order to ban USDT in the US. Now, the next news we are going to be covering on tonight's live is regarding MicroStrategy. But before we go through the MicroStrategy news regarding buying more Bitcoin and also stockpiling more notes to buy more Bitcoin even, they have brought a lot more now, which we're going to go through the numbers very quickly. But we're also going to be discussing on how much more they're going to be purchasing further on. But before we go for the next news, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight to the next news. So, as I said previously, this is live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So, let's see what's going on inside the comment section, and then we go straight into the next news. Let's see what's going on. Let's see where we were at. We were at here. Thought you were Hector from Fast and Furious at first. Not bad. Hector's a good actor as well. I'll take it as a compliment. I only have 1,000 XRP. I'm feeling like it's the lowest number. Which amount do you say can last me longest? If you have 1,000 XRP, that's a great amount to have in your wallet. Long-term wise, you're still good. Don't worry about it. Hello, Scott. Wow, that's great news, Miles. Easter, I'll have to check her out. Yeah, Hester Peirce. Yeah, honestly, she's amazing. In the SEC, she's very pro-crypto. What time to be alive? What a time to be alive. I agree, Mickey. Facts. Happy Pisces. Good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? How's things? Trump has his own crypto. I don't know why people say he's not for crypto, which is facts. He does. His son does, but it's facts. It's more important. There's more important things on the table too, like some people who were unfairly and unjustifiably in prison. I agree 100%. Miles, I don't see great information on Jasmine. Small purses of it covering to top XRP. Jasmine is, when it was first coming out, when Jasmine first came out, it came out as the Bitcoin of Japan, and then it turned into the crypto financial tool of Japan and so on. It's had different categories and different titles. It's a legitimate project, but obviously, if you turning your Jasmine to XRP slowly, you're converting it into XRP. It makes sense. XRP is a better project long-term wise, without a doubt. Miles, would you say is important to hold ACH and Hulu hidden gems, or better to get XDC coin? It's better to get XDC coin if you don't have XDC coin. And then if you want to go for Hulu later on, why not? Will CoinMove have a wealth management section to manage crypto assets for the future use? Yes. CoinMove, my own essentially blockchain company that I've been working on for years, is also going to be having a wealth management section without a doubt. If you want to use it, why not? Do we need registrations from governments as well to get adoption, or just SEC? Do we need registrations from governments as well to get adoption, or just SEC? Well, obviously, senators will have a say in this matter as well. Congress will have a say in this matter as well. But as long as the SEC comes up with the rules and regulations, they can come to some sort of a conclusion with the lawsuits for the time being. And also the regulations will help to process things a lot more faster regarding ETFs, for example. There's about 4 to 5 ETFs that haven't been looked into by XRP ETFs that the SEC needs to look into, or Solana ETFs that the SEC needs to look into, HBAR ETFs, there's even a Doge ETF, there's a Litecoin ETF, there's more Bitcoin ETFs, there's refilings of essentially Ethereum ETFs that need to be looked into as well. So SEC can get a lot of things done by themselves as long as they move correctly, no doubt about it. So they can move correctly by themselves as long as they don't, cross any lines. Senators and Congress don't need to get involved. But Miles, my friend, Jimbo holds 15,000 HBAR. What can he be expecting from bull run and beyond in dollar only, please? I couldn't tell you the dollar amount, but if he does hold if your friend holds 15,000 HBAR, he's going to have a great future ahead of himself if he hold on to it long-term wise and even borrow against it later on. Not this financial advice in any sort of a way. Even Miles and CMF peeps, Semper, good to see you. How you doing? How you been, Semper? Miles, will you teach how not to spend XRP? I'm worried by my low amount, I get bankrupt fast. No problem. When the time comes, I will definitely be helping everybody out as much as I can. No problem. As I always do every day. Now, MicroStrategy. Michael Saylor's company, MSTR, buys another 11,000 Bitcoins for $1.1 billion. After Trump takes office. MicroStrategy is not slowing down. In other words, Michael Saylor is not slowing down on their Bitcoin purchases. This man said he's buying Bitcoin at 100. He said, if Bitcoin goes to $1 million, I'm still buying it. It's not my words. It's Michael Saylor's words, MicroStrategy. And this is their recent purchase. Today, MicroStrategy, essentially the corner-based software company, has continued its aggressive Bitcoin acquisition strategy, purchasing 11,000 Bitcoins today for $1.1 billion. The announcement came just the day after Donald Trump essentially was sworn in as the 47th president of the United States. MicroStrategy revealed its important recent purchase of Bitcoin in filings submitted essentially by the executive chairman, Michael Saylor. And the purchase was essentially made at an average price of one Bitcoin sitting at $101,000. MicroStrategy brought Bitcoin sitting at $101,000, and he purchased it essentially roughly about 1.1 billion was spent. When combined with its other buys, MicroStrategy now holds 461,000 Bitcoins in its treasury, which it's paid essentially in total for $29.3 billion for. The cryptocurrency was brought at $105,044, which is just slightly less than its all-time high of $108,000. Recorded on the day essentially Trump taking his presidency. MicroStrategy has about $48 billion worth of Bitcoin, which tells a lot about how the company trusts its cryptocurrency strategies. Michael Saylor, the biggest Bitcoin prominent, unveiled the company's 2121 plan to bring Bitcoin's value to the balance sheets to more than $100 billion by 2028. When acquiring the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin was on sale at $105,044 just a few hours after it had reached a record of $108,000 on the day essentially Trump was taking his seat. And MicroStrategy now holds a huge amount, and other companies are also following essentially MicroStrategy's footsteps, the same aggressive strategy that MicroStrategy has, such as other companies like Bitcoin miners like Marathon Digital, Riot Platforms, and these firms have also followed the same strategies to increase their Bitcoin holdings, which shows that more institutions are attracted to digital assets day by day. And publicly traded companies like Call or offshore entities such as Genius Group have also joined this trend of adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets. The wave of adoption highlights the increasing role of Bitcoin inside the corporate financial strategies and cryptocurrencies in general. This is pretty much straight after Trump taking his presidency. And the reason why MicroStrategy is doing this is because he's betting on the idea that Trump is going to create a Bitcoin reserve, which means MicroStrategy is going to be absolutely caking in the amount of money they're going to be swimming in. Now, moving on essentially from MicroStrategy's footsteps into the Bitcoin space even further to Doge. And I don't mean the meme coin, Dogecoin. What I mean is the US Department of Government Efficiency, which, if you don't know by now, it's what Elon Musk has created as a US department to go after wasting money inside the US. There's a lot of wasting money when it comes to politics. Too much money is wasted in politics, and some of that money is being wasted on Ukraine. But as you've seen, essentially, Trump signing back-to-back, essentially, things he's going to be doing inside the United States, establishing. One of them was obviously Doge taking effect and finding out where the money is being spent in the US and how can they, essentially save money in the US and not spend unnecessary dollars. But some people are not happy. Some people are not happy about the US Department of Government Efficiency, in other words, Doge, because Doge is being slapped with more lawsuits. Elon Musk's department that Trump essentially created is being slapped with lawsuits back to back. The US Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, a temporary organization established via executive order by President Donald Trump, has faced a flurry of legal challenges following the day it was established yesterday. Cointelegraph reported that Doge was being sued by non-profit law firms, national security counselors, for allegedly violating Federal Advisory Committees Acts, the FACA, which governs federal committees to ensure public involvement in the process. As reported, The Intercept, essentially Doge, is also being sued by ethics watchdog citizens for responsibility and essentially ethics and consumer protection groups and public citizens. Meanwhile, Politico reports that the Center for Biological Diversity, a non-profit membership organization, has also filed a lawsuit against Doge. It's back-to-back lawsuits. People are suing essentially Elon Musk's new department, Doge, that's going to be trying to save money for the US. Isn't it ironic that the only department that's set up in the US government to save the US money is being sued back-to-back on day one? Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics appears to have filed a lawsuit alongside several other organizations, including the American Public Health Association is suing Doge, the Elon Musk department. The American Federation of Teachers is suing Doge. And Minority Veterans of America. The lawsuit seeks a ruling that the establishment of Doge is unlawful and for the court to force Doge to comply with the transparency, ethics, records retention, and equal essential representation required under the FACA. Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics said, by adding this, currently Doge is operating unchecked without authorization or funding from Congress and is led by unelected billionaires who are not representing of the ordinary Americans. The lawsuits also take issue with Doge being referred to as the government department of designation that requires congressional approval. As Politico reported, the lawsuit filed by the Center for Biological Diversity seeks all records from the Office of Management and Budget relating to Doge. While essentially campaigning for President Trump floated the idea of naming Elon Musk to his cabinet after winning the essential nomination, Trump confirmed that Musk and former president candidate Vivek Ramsey, who is now not running for Doge anymore, apparently Vivek Ramsey is trying to run for a governor, would head up the new Department of Government Efficiency. However, Vivek Ramsey has exited Doge and essentially is now focused on becoming Ohio's governor. As the brainchild of Musk, Doge has essentially stated goals to modernize the government systems and fix inefficiencies in the federal agencies. As the New York Times has reported, Doge is targeting up to $2 trillion in cost reductions by 2026. So the one department that the US has created that essentially Elon Musk and Trump have created, which is to save the United States government money, is being sued by roughly about 10 lawsuits on day one. And everybody wants to know, essentially what Doge is going to be doing. All the lawsuits are about what Doge is going to be doing. Doge has to show transparency. Doge isn't showing transparency. And Doge is, what's Doge's budget? Where is their budget going to be coming from, and so on and so on. Now, these are all valid questions. But what's interesting is, where were all these questions on other US departments that are wasting money? These same questions could have been asked when Biden and the Biden administration of officials were sending billions of dollars to Ukraine. Nobody was asking a question then. It's very interesting, honestly. The only department in the US trying to save the US money is being sued on day one. It just shows you that there is still a lot of people in the US government that need to be fired straight away. All of the money-hungry, genuinely, all of the money-hungry, greedy politicians need to be fired straight away, because there's still too many of them if there are this many lawsuits on day one for the only department that's going to be saving the US money. But to be fair, there's a lot of money-hungry, greedy politicians worldwide. Now, moving on, essentially from the only department that the US has to save money to Bank of America. This was an interesting one, because we are going into regulations, as I revealed earlier on live, regarding the SEC, Hester Peirce, creating the crypto task force, coming out with regulations and so on. Well, Bank of America's CEO, also attending the Davos World Economic Forum event, talked about this. Bank of America's CEO made a statement about crypto coins in the World Economic Forum event. In a very simple thing, he said, "We are ready." Bank of America said, "We are ready." Bank of America's CEO, Brian, said the US banking sector is ready to embrace cryptocurrencies for payments if regulatory frameworks allow it. Well, the good news is the SEC now has a crypto task force that they created overnight, and regulations are coming through. Speaking at the World Economic Forum, essentially in Davos, Switzerland, today, Brian said the sector, the banking sector in the US, is ready to integrate digital currencies into transaction systems. The US banking system is ready to integrate cryptocurrency into the transaction system. He said if the regulations come into play, and this is a real thing that you can actually do with, essentially do business with, you're going to see the banking system come in essentially hard on the transactional side of this. In other words, the banking system in the US wants to go head first into cryptocurrency financial projects. Remember how I said the financial category is the #1 category inside the crypto space? Well, the biggest market space in the world, their banking systems are ready for the financial space of crypto. And he said this on a CNBC interview at the World Economic Forum event today. Bank of America CEO. He also wanted to say, Brian compared the use of cryptocurrencies to existing payment methods, such as Visa, MasterCard, debit cards, and Apple Pay, and suggesting that if regulatory clarity is achieved, cryptocurrencies could become another option in the payment ecosystem. The banking sector's cautious stance on retail crypto transactions contrasts with its involvements in institutional trading and asset management, particularly Bitcoin ETFs. Prominent industry leaders, including JP Morgan Chase, essentially CEO Jamie Dimon, have previously criticized Bitcoin, labeling it as a tool used by scammers and essentially criminals and so on. But despite the skepticism surrounding cryptocurrencies from JP Morgan, only regarding Bitcoin, Brian noted that Bank of America's investment in blockchain technology, he said, we already have hundreds of patents on blockchain. Bank of America already has hundreds of patents on blockchain. And he said, we know how to get into this space. They've been preparing for years to enter essentially into the payment system space. Now, we know for a fact a long time ago that Bank of America and Ripple essentially did come together and establish a partnership. Long time ago, they established their partnerships with Bank of America. Ripple did. Bank of America's logo is also on Ripple's website if you want to be essentially more of a thing. But in their own words, Bank of America is not, it's not that it's only Bank of America that's ready. According to the CEO of Bank of America at the World Economic Forum event today on CNBC, he said, in general, the US banking system is ready to go into the crypto sector, to go into the financial sector, and avoiding discussion essentially. And JP Morgan not stating anything on the matter of Bitcoin. JP Morgan stated matters on cryptocurrencies and was very positive about cryptocurrencies, but they didn't go and say anything about Bitcoin, but they did say things positive about cryptocurrencies in general. But amazing, absolutely amazing, honestly. We couldn't ask for better news. One, essentially the SEC coming in, creating the rules and regulations, which Bank of America is talking about. The CEO of Bank of America is talking about the US needs the regulations now, which ironically, the SEC created the crypto task force overnight, the moment Gary Gensler left, and is bringing out regulations in establishment of within a week. They're trying to do it. Bank of America is saying, we need the regulations now. We are ready. The banking system wants to get involved inside the crypto sector. Let's go, is what they're trying to say. And obviously, the financial projects are going to be the #1 category, not just in the US, but worldwide. The financial projects, XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, and so on. But now, essentially, putting Bank of America's, CEO's perspective on one side, incredible so far, honestly. Talking about Ethereum now. So, putting that to one side, Bank of America to one side, XRP to one side, and talking about Ethereum for a second, because Ethereum's essentially co-founders, one of them being Vitalik Buterin, is not happy. Vitalik Buterin is not happy that Ethereum is slowly, in his own words, falling off. And according to the Ethereum developers, that Ethereum is slowly falling off. But before we go through this, actually, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. We're more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into the Ethereum news. Let's see where we're at. Hello, Miles and family. Golden Dragon, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, Jimbo's asking if he can borrow against his HBAR or has to sell on the bull run. He can borrow against HBAR as well if he wants to, not financial advice in any sort of way. Miles, will you teach how to spend XRP? Yeah. Miles, did you hear anything about Ripple and Skyfire AI? No. Miles, do the people suing Doge have a leg to stand on, or are they trying to just cause issues because it's Musk? They're just trying to cause issues because it's Elon Musk. Miles, is it true Elon Musk loves Israel support? Yes. How will we know when bull run ends and utility starts? When will the dip be full or just go higher and a little higher? We're just going to go, sideways and higher pretty much. We're going to have dips, obviously, but we're going into deep regulations, which is the beauty of this market space right now. Miles, do you think XRP ETFs comes first or adoption from banks? At this state, it seems like they're both going to be coming at the same time. Don't be political, your opinion only. Yeah, they're going to be coming at the same time by the looks of it. Miles is 60,000 XRP, top 5%, 60,000 X. If you have 60,000 XRP in your wallet, you have an incredible future ahead of yourself, is what I can say. Now, Ethereum. So while, essentially the other American crypto projects are doing very well for themselves, obviously Ethereum not being an American company, it's mostly on the DeFi space, but apparently they want to get a little bit centralized. But let's see how that one goes. But here's Ethereum. Ethereum's Vitalik Buterin goes on the essentially offense in terms of an aimed major leadership shakeups. He said it's been a rough year for Ethereum Foundation, which it has been. The grant given the non-profit that helps to support Ethereum. So the foundation that actually helps Ethereum to stand on 4 legs. The non-profit organization, whenever you hear the words non-profit inside the corporate sector, yeah, it's not really non-profit. The money comes from somewhere that's not supposed to. So the non-profit that's helping Ethereum for all these years to stand on its legs is not happy in any sort of a way with Ethereum's progress so far. And the best known blockchain behind Bitcoin, essentially, Ethereum ranking at number 2, as Ethereum loses market cap and mind share, essentially, to competitors, the foundation has been essentially beset by scandal as well. Vitalik Buterin, Ethereum's co-founder and chief, essentially figurehead, has laid out a new plan to right the ship. Apparently, they want to maybe get rid of their foundation that's backing Ethereum, that's helping them to stand on their own legs. Because the money that's coming in from the foundation maybe could be, unclean money, for example. So we are indeed currently in the process of large changes to our EF, or Ethereum Foundation leadership structure, which has been ongoing for close to a year, Vitalik Buterin said. And he said also some of this has already been executed on and made public, and some is still in progress. He also wanted to say he outlined the changes. Vitalik Buterin listed a series of goals, including improving the technological expertise within Ethereum's foundation leadership and improving the two-way communications and ties between Ethereum's foundation leadership and the ecosystem actors, and that it supports it. According to Vitalik Buterin, the changes won't essentially designed to centralize or corporatize or politicize the foundation. So according to Vitalik Buterin, he's not going for the centralization of the political, bringing politics into Ethereum and so on, which is a complete load of BS. Ethereum is filled to the brim with politics, but obviously Vitalik Buterin pretending, they're the angel inside the crypto space, and they only have clean money spending inside of Ethereum, and Ethereum has never had any shaking hands with any sort of political matters and so on. There's emails between the SEC and Ethereum's founders. But, let's just put that to one side, because according to Vitalik Buterin, there's nothing wrong with Ethereum in terms of Ethereum being the only genuine crypto inside the crypto space. The organization won't suddenly, this is what Vitalik Buterin said, and Vitalik Buterin has just taken a shot towards Coinbase and Ripple with this statement. Because look what he said. He said, the organization, he said, Ethereum, the organization, won't suddenly start aggressively lobbying regulators and powerful political figures. And he said, nor would it become an arena for vested interest or even more of a main character within Ethereum. In other words, because Coinbase and Ripple came together and started essentially doing campaigns for Republican parties, Ripple and essentially Coinbase invested millions, and I'm talking about millions upon millions. So roughly about $200 million was spent by Ripple, Coinbase, and so on, essentially bringing in the donations for Republican candidates. Another reason why Republicans had a clean sweep was because of companies like Ripple and Coinbase and Kraken and Crypto.com that were feeding money into politicians' campaigns, the Republican campaigners. And Vitalik Buterin essentially taking a shot at essentially Ripple and Coinbase and so on, and saying, we're not going to be like them, who are paying off politicians and essentially, getting what they want in their favor. The shakeup comes as Ethereum's reputation among builders has soared in recent months. Members of the broader crypto community are flocking to fast and cheaper competitors. Developers on Ethereum's chain, according to Vitalik Buterin, are running from Ethereum and going to cheaper chains and faster chains, which has been essentially, and some say Ethereum has lagged because it lacks an organizing vision, something the foundation of Ethereum, while not in charge of Ethereum, might have helped remedy. Over the past 12 months, the foundation that's been backing Ethereum behind closed doors has been mirrored essentially in controversy, because everybody wants to know, where did Ethereum get their money from day one? And why is Ethereum essentially still, and where is Ethereum still getting their money from this foundation that's backing them? Some have came out and said, the money's coming in from Chinese investors regarding backing Ethereum still to this day. Some have came forward and said it's Russian investors. Some have came forward and said it's Middle Eastern investors and so on. But we still don't know. It is whether essentially the accusations of being, manipulated and conflicted and so on, and yet also too powerful. Conflict of interest scandals haven't helped Ethereum either. So apparently there's a lot of scandal around Ethereum right now in the corporate sector. And payments from private companies to the foundation employees recently sparked wide backlash and forced the organization to update its policies. The Ethereum Foundation that's backing Ethereum isn't revealing where is all this money coming from. Now, you can claim it's a foundation and they're not supposed to tell people, but it's a big project. Maybe reveal some transparency here. Maybe show some transparency here, because the money could be unclean money entering essentially the crypto space through Ethereum, and Ethereum's hiding this for their own benefit. Some have blamed essentially Aya, the foundation's executive director since 2018, for the foundation's woes, aimed a pressure campaign for Aya's removal. Vitalik Buterin essentially has stepped in as Ethereum's foundation's sole decision maker for the time being. The person deciding the new EF leadership team is me, he stated. One of the goals of the ongoing reform is to give the Ethereum Foundation a proper board. But until that happens, it's me. I am in control. Aya, who's in control of the Ethereum Foundation, who has all the scandal around Ethereum, however, has not been ousted from the foundation. Aya still has a position on the foundation. Vitalik Buterin lambasted essentially some of her critics on X, accusing them of using her as a scapegoat. In multiple tweets, Vitalik Buterin highlighted certain essentially practicalities on social media comments, including death threats and explicit calls for more bullying of Aya. There are death threats happening right now on the Ethereum chain. That's crazy. There are death threats happening on the Ethereum chain right now. It's not a funny matter, but that's crazy. And called them pure evil. Some people, some developers are calling Ethereum now, developers of ETH, they're calling Ethereum right now pure evil, because apparently the money that's coming into the Ethereum Foundation is coming from a very bad source. That's keeping Ethereum afloat pretty much. If you keep the pressure on, then you are creating an environment that is actively toxic to the top talent, Vitalik Buterin wrote. Vitalik Buterin is trying to tell everybody to slow down and, not get too violent when it comes to Ethereum's chain. Some of Ethereum's best developers have been messaging me recently. This is Vitalik Buterin saying this. Some of the best developers of Ethereum have been messaging me recently, expressing their disgust with their social media environment that people you are creating. You are making my job harder. There are Ethereum developers right now, top developers, Ethereum top developers, messaging Vitalik Buterin and telling them that people on the Ethereum chain essentially are making the top developers of Ethereum's lives harder. A lot harder. They're making their job because they're sending them, crazy messages right now. So, well, on one hand, we have America becoming the capital of cryptocurrencies and American crypto companies going slowly up the ladder. On the other hand, Ethereum is getting death threats. And their foundation is in crumbles by the looks of it. And on the other hand, also, USDT Tether looks like to be delisted from the US as well. Things are looking interesting. American companies climbing the ladder and foreign companies, which essentially Ethereum, going down, apparently. Now, moving on from Ethereum and Vitalik Buterin's death threats to Utah. Bit of an odd jump going from Ethereum death threats to Utah, but hear me out. Utah proposes a bill for allowing state investments in digital assets. Now, Utah has decided not to just create a Bitcoin reserve like every other ordinary state in America. Utah has decided to create a crypto reserve instead, which I've always said is the better option. I said if America or states or any country, if they want to get involved in crypto and create a reserve, create a crypto reserve instead of just a Bitcoin reserve, because it makes no sense just to create a Bitcoin reserve. Because if you're getting in at these prices for XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, ADA, and so all these American essentially, companies, if you get in at these prices, imagine what they'll be later on, and so on. Because the rest of the world will follow their footsteps. If America creates a crypto reserve and puts Bitcoin, XRP, and so on inside of it, all American companies, the rest of the world will follow America's footsteps and create a crypto reserve and put, Bitcoin, XRP, and XLM, and so on inside of it. And that's what Utah has decided to do. Utah isn't going to be following Texas's footsteps on just creating a Bitcoin reserve, or North Dakota or Pennsylvania. They want to create a crypto reserve, not just a Bitcoin reserve. So Utah proposes a bill allowing the state investments in digital assets. Utah has introduced an innovative bill to modernize the state investments by permitting the treasurer to invest public funds in digital assets. The Blockchain and Digital Innovation Amendments. HB230 is what they're calling it, the file essentially, presented by the state representative Jordan, aims to position Utah as a leader in blockchain adoption while maintaining essentially strict physical accountability. The bill establishes a through-and-through framework for digital asset investments by including staking, lending, and safeguarding self-custody rights. This bill also reflects our commitment to embracing cutting-edge technology and preparing for the future of finance while ensuring essentially physical sovereignty, Jordan said. He also wanted to say the legislation permits up to 10% of certain state funds, 10% of Utah's funds, essentially, so 10% of their state funds will be going towards cryptocurrencies. And these state funds, these certain state funds, including those from disaster recoveries and budget reserves, to be allocated to digital assets. To qualify, assets must either have a market capitalization exceeding $500 billion within the past year or meet their essentially criteria, their stablecoin criteria, for example, as well, such as regulatory approvals and backings by high-quality liquid assets. It also includes a strict security measures for managing these assets, requiring essentially encrypted storage of private keys and ensuring access through secure channels, and essentially also geographically diverse data centers. Additionally, it also protects individuals' rights to self-custody, allowing the use of self-hosted and hardware wallets and reflecting Utah's commitments to decentralized financial autonomy. So in Utah, they're going to be passing, a lot of regulations for you to even hold your ledgers, your tangents. You're perfectly fine to do that. Utah's initiative aligns with a growing trend of states exploring digital asset investments, signaling right now in the US a broader shift towards integrating blockchain technology into the public finance. Texas Senator also Charles recently introduced the Senate Bill 778, the SB 778, essentially to create a strict Bitcoin reserve in Texas, aiming to position the state as a leader in financial innovations. If passed, Texas would become essentially the first state to acquire and hold Bitcoin as an economic asset. Texas also emphasized Bitcoin's decentralized structure and limited supply, which could protect the state against inflation and economic instability. The proposed reserves were the special funds outside the state's general revenue fund, boosting Texas' financial resilience and digital economy. Right now, states back-to-back essentially are creating some sort of a Bitcoin reserve. Texas was the first one, and essentially Pennsylvania was pretty much next. North Dakota was pretty much next, and so on. Ohio was pretty much next as well to enter this crypto space regarding Bitcoin reserve. But Utah was coming in different. They're coming in, they want us, and essentially they're stating, we're going to be creating a crypto reserve, not just a Bitcoin reserve. Now, which is amazing, honestly. That just means more money, essentially, for the entire crypto, for the crypto projects they choose. And we know for a fact what crypto projects Utah is going to be choosing slowly to add to their crypto portfolio. It's going to be made in America crypto projects. And we all know what are made in America crypto projects. Well, CMC has definitely lined that out yesterday on their app. But moving on, essentially from Utah creating that crypto reserve instead to the FCA, which stands for the Financial Conduct Authority, which is an equivalent of an SEC in the United Kingdom. But before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's see what's going inside the comment section, and then we go straight into the next news. So let's see. We were at here. Miles, can you tell me if I set a business, I can pay in wholesale CBDCs or get only retail? Essentially, is it possible to get paid with stablecoins? It is possible to get paid with stablecoins. Yes, it is. Miles, do you think, not financial advice, can we hit double digits soon? Thank you. Abel, can we hit double digits on XRP soon? Anything's possible if it gets 3 green lights. SEC case settled with Ripple or dismissed. Rules and regulations, which by the looks of it, not that far off. SEC is working on it right now, hard. And adoption, in other words, which is also, the Bank of America coming out today and saying they're ready. SEC is working very hard. Bank of America and the banking system in general, the US is ready. Sky's the limit. Something with great job, Miles. Keep it going. Let's go, Scott. Thank you for the compliment. Something with Bitcoin when it comes to evil. There's something with Bitcoin when it comes to evil. I agree. Good evening, brother Miles and CMF family. Funky brother, good to see you. So how you doing? How you been? What have I missed so far? A lot. You've missed a lot, I'll be honest. At the end, I'll give you a gist of a breakdown towards the end of the live. Let's go. But good to see how you doing, Funky brother. Let's go, Miles. Hashtag CMF, share the live. Let's go, Scott. Any bullish news? Yes, we went through a lot of bullish news on tonight's live. I'll do a gist of, I'll do a breakdown of what we talked about towards the end of the live, but also definitely rewatch the live once this live is finished. I've been in hospital all day long for my mother. Funky brother, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope your mother's doing good. I hope your mother's doing better. I'm sorry to hear that, brother. Prayers go out to your mother. Sorry about that. Hope your mother is okay. Yeah, definitely. More money for us, Camel. Yes, more money is definitely going to be entering the crypto markets. Definitely for sure. God is great. Facts. All prayers are for God alone. Evening, Miles and family. Good to see you as well, Susie. How you doing? How you been? How's things? Greetings, Miles. Greetings from Texas. Let's go CMF. Ray, let's go CMF. Good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? Miles, shall we sell ETH now if you want to, and switch it over to XRP? Not financial advice any sort of a way. Hello, bro. C-Tree, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Miles, is XDC due a pumping? XDC is definitely pumping alongside the financial projects, yes. I don't want to ban off to pump it after I sell it. Fair enough. I'll catch up tomorrow for what I've missed. No problem, Funky brother. At the end, I'll do a breakdown at the end as well for what you've missed. I'm sorry to hear about your mother as well. But at the end, I'll do a breakdown of what we talked about. Now, FCA. Financial Conduct Authority faces a growing calls for overhaul aimed essentially criticism. The UK's Financial Conduct Authority, which is an equivalent of an SEC inside the United Kingdom, is moving incredibly slow compared to the rest of the market space. And people are not happy. In the UK, they're not happy that the US is moving so fast. The EU is moving so fast. Every country pretty much is moving towards this digital future, while the UK is just tiptoeing still. And it's all because the FCA isn't taking action. The UK's Financial Conduct Authority, FCA, faces growing calls of overhaul as criticism over incompetence. And slow inside the crypto space, the FCA in general is moving slow in every aspect. For example, they're moving essentially over their incompetence, dishonesty, lack of transparency, unaccountability, and essentially a lack of lostness in terms of amount of what's happening. The FCA in the United Kingdom is one half of the UK's twin peak regulators, complied by essentially a regulation authority. A parliamentary report accusing the regulators, FCA, of uninspiring behavior has heavily criticized it. FCA has admitted that it inappropriately delayed the public's freedom of information request, confirming the parliamentary's accusations. Now, the criticism extends beyond Parliament when it comes to the FCA. Independent reviews have previously faulted the FCA for its handling of collapsed firms. Some of those firms include London Capital and Finance and essentially Income Funds, which collapsed under the FCA's watch inside the United Kingdom, and the FCA did nothing about them. Former City Minister Lord Paul, essentially Mears, always criticized the regulators FCA for not being essentially consensus and of detecting warning signs before the failure of investment funds, and essentially run by Neil Woodford, the lack of detection and early warnings made several investors lose money inside the United Kingdom. And inside the United Kingdom, we're still losing money because we're not moving fast enough for the crypto space. The Financial Services Authority, which precedes the FCA before the 2008 economic meltdown, was highly endorsed due to its hands-on approach. However, the praises narrow essentially immediately after the financial crisis. In most scenarios, the FCA is always viewed as through a lens and faces heavy criticism when the cases they handle go wrong. However, they never receive credit when financial services function smoothly and are heavily blamed by industries for hindering essentially business growth. The report essentially from Parliament's outcome is not a far-fetched, since gathered evidence from whistleblowers, victims, and FCA employees in terms of their broader essentially selection on bias. The FCA is accused on the same bias, essentially inconsistent, selective in their use of evidence when it suits them, and essentially error prone. So if you thought Gary Gensler is an absolute tool and a bastard, it turns out so is the FCA. Well, one member of the FCA who's running the FCA right now, he's also being somewhat of a Gary Gensler in the United Kingdom when it comes to the FCA. This man is hiding information from essentially judges and lawsuits and so on to benefit themselves. Something Gary Gensler most likely did as well. Well, they did do it inside the debit box case where they lied to a judge on the Gary Gensler's essentially handle when it came to the SEC. But the FCA inside the United Kingdom is doing the same thing. They're hiding information in favor for themselves. The issue raised are serious regarding the FCA inside the United Kingdom, and they deserve to be essentially handheld. The regulators should essentially show strength, character, and the ability to regulate misbehavior to achieve timely redress. Yet the FCA doesn't inspire confidence, and as currently constructed, it may never work for the public. The FCA has 4 operational objectives: consumer protection, market integrity, competition, and growth. And more than 13 essentially cross-cutting essentially commitments. It frames policies, clears firms and individuals, and monitors consumer duty and enforces actions. So basically SEC Gary Gensler. This broader mandate stretches essentially the regulator's focus in increasing the risk of conflicts of interest and operational confusion. Compounding the issue, the companies often recruit the FCA's nearly 5,000 staff they are tasked with supervising, raising significant concerns about the impartiality and transparency. With all of these happenings, the parliamentary reports terming the FCA's transformation program as a failure in inspiring essentially. In fact, if the parliamentary report had given them a clean sheet, the world would have been stunned. Although the situation looks dire, the commitment of a senior management team cannot be overlooked, but they are facing an impossible task. And also to improve and focus and delivery, the FCA should identify only a few responsibilities and further distribute others to entities like the Competition and Markets Authorities and Department of Business and Trade, and bring out the rules and regulations for the crypto space. The FCA inside the United Kingdom has a lot of catch-up to do with the US, and the EU. Every country is going head first inside the crypto space. Every country is following Donald Trump's footsteps. Not only is the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, not following essentially Donald Trump's footsteps for the time being, they're tiptoeing, but also our Prime Minister inside the United Kingdom and our entire Labour Party decides to criticize Donald Trump. I hope one day, I genuinely hope one day we will have somebody like Donald Trump inside the UK as well. Somebody that's like Donald Trump, who is a British billionaire or a millionaire, or at least an educated, essentially person, a British citizen who's educated, who takes the steps and becomes Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and brings in the same methods that somebody like Donald Trump is bringing for the US, who puts their people first. Unfortunately, right now we are stuck with the Labour Party or the Conservative Party or the Reform Party or the Tories Party, which are pretty much the exact same party. Because every single one of them lie, every single one of them say they're going to do this and that, and they never end up doing it. And the UK just keeps on getting worse by the day, pretty much, in the very simplest way. But good news is essentially the biggest market space in the world at least is doing better now. The biggest market space in the world, at least they're doing better right now. The US is doing better, which means if the US is doing better in terms of the market space, we're going to slowly do better as well. Even though we do have an incompetent, essentially, people running the show in the UK. But at least America's bringing the money to the table, the regulations to the table for the crypto space. The EU is following their footsteps, and the Asian market space are following their footsteps, and the Middle East is following their footsteps. So at least that's happening, even if the UK is tiptoeing still. But hopefully one day the UK will be able to play catch up as well. But for the time being, we're definitely tiptoeing. Now, moving on from the FCA inside the United Kingdom to another company that came forward and created ETFs. Rex. Rex, essentially an investment management firm, Rex, has submitted a proposal to the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, for crypto ETFs. Now, the proposal includes a new Trump token-inspired President Donald Trump and 6 other assets. Bitcoin ETF, makes sense, Ethereum ETF, Solana ETF, XRP ETF, Doge ETF. The last one's interesting, Bonk ETF. The company sent a Form S-1 registration to the SEC, which said that they wish to sell these ETFs to investors as soon as possible. According to the filings, investors will be able to gain exposure to the cryptocurrencies without actually holding onto them, which is basically what ETF is. While the Dogecoin essentially and other ETFs were expected, the Trump ETF wasn't really expected. It came as a surprise. So did Bonk. The Trump token was launched only 5 days ago, and it caused some confusion inside the market space as well. The Trump token exploded upwards when it was launched and peaking essentially at the market capitalization of $15 billion with a fully diluted valuation of $75 billion by Sunday morning. The token was on the upswing until Sunday when a new meme coin associated with millionaire Trump launched and taking some of the liquidity also and stealing the hype for both tokens. Now both have crashed, which made a lot of traders lose a lot of money on the Trump token and the millionaire token. You've got to remember that the Trump token and the millionaire token are meme coins, and meme coins are buy sell. They're not really hold. Nobody holds a meme coin unless it's Shiba or Lunacy or Doge. Other than that, holding any sort of meme coins is a bit risky because it's a meme coin. It doesn't really have a use case. And the people who held on to their Trump tokens or their millionaire tokens lost an incredible amount of money. And Rex also seems to be moving ahead with its paperwork, but it's not clear that these ETFs will get approved. Nevertheless, this is a good step for digital asset companies looking to create new products like trust and ETFs. Also, we have an incredible amount of XRP ETFs, HBAR ETFs, Solana ETFs that haven't still been looked into, but we know they're going to be looked into very soon because the SEC has now a new crypto task force, which is moving incredibly fast. Now, moving on, essentially from the new ETF applications that have been filed in straight a day after essentially this. And there are more XRP ETF filings that happened today as well. It wasn't just this one. There's more XRP ETF filings that happened straight after the President Trump essentially taking his seat. But moving on to a very interesting piece of work. Now, the reason why I say it's a very interesting piece of work is because so far the proposal for wiping out the US national debt or helping to reduce the US national debt as we progress forwards has been a Bitcoin reserve plan. But something interesting came out. And it's basically this. A strict proposal to dissolve the US national debt. A new proposal that came out, a PDF documentation, to wipe out the US $38 trillion national debt using XRP. But before we go through that, let's go to the comment section first. As I said previously, this is live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's see what's going on inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into that news. Should I be selling my Ethereum for XRP or HBAR? If you want to, Butch, not financial advice in any sort of a way. Do you, Monaco? Do you what? If Americans create a crypto reserve rather than a Bitcoin reserve, would those other tokens, XRP, HBAR, used as a crypto reserve become a store of value tokens? Yes, for a certain time period, not for a long time, because at a certain point they will have to sell them, obviously. But it wouldn't be, within a year. It would be, they will hold it for minimum 5 to 10 years or even 20 years, and after that, sell them off. I would rather keep ETFs for utility assets. I would agree also. Apparently 10 different XRP ETFs were filed. Yes, I heard that news as well. We're going 10 XRP ETFs were filed. I didn't get to see each filing, but I did hear there were 10 today. Now, The strict proposal to dissolve the US national debt, the $38 trillion debt, national debt using XRP. Now, this was a PDF documentation, filed in PDF documentation of what could essentially happen if they wanted to. So Roman Exchange essentially outlines a multi-phase plan leveraging XRP's capabilities within a regulatory and financial framework. Overview of the proposal. The strategy encompasses 3 key phases: accumulation, pilots, national implementation, and debt essentially payment strategy, supported by a robust legal, regulatory, and international coordination framework. It's a very, very well detailed PDF documentation. The proposal highlights XRP's potential to operate as a complementary currency alongside the US dollar, streamlining debt repayments, improving liquidity, and fostering economic growth. So it's not just about XRP sitting there inside of a crypto reserve and looking pretty, but XRP being used to reduce the US national debt. So phase 1, I'll give you some of the breakdowns. I'm not going to be reading you the entire PDF documentation because it's a very long documentation. It's going to be a very long live. And we will have to probably do a 24-hour live if we're going to do that. But I'll give you some factors from this PDF documentation. Phase 1, accumulation and pilots. The US government would initiate the plan by acquiring 4 billion XRP at market value through a essentially staggered acquisition strategy to minimize market disruptions. These holdings would be secured in an escrow account to mitigate volatility and maintain stability. Pilot programs would follow with XRP used in controlled environments, including interagency transactions and government essential transactions. These pilots aim to refine processes and identify potential challenges before a broader adoption. So basically, phase 1 essentially is for the governments to acquire essentially 4 billion XRP and keep that XRP on the sidelines and start using it in terms of payments. Using it slowly, obviously domestically wise and slowly international wise. Phase 2 will be national implementation. This phase will focus on building infrastructure and fostering adoption. Key measures include infrastructure development, establishing systems such as merchant acceptance networks, ATMs for XRP transactions, and digital payment applications for XRP. Regulatory alignments, amending monetary policy frameworks to recognize XRP as a complementary currency. Legal tender laws would be adjusted to accommodate XRP in digital and online transactions. Public adoption, launching educational campaigns to inform the public about XRP's benefits and roles in debt essentially resolutions. Phase 3, debt payment strategy. In the final phase, XRP would be deployed in liquidity pools to facilitate controlled conversions to fiat for debt repayments. This approach aims to essentially prevent market destabilization while offering a mechanism for gradual debt reduction. The proposal also involves direct payments, negotiations with creditors to reduce conversion costs and leverage XRP's value. National circulation of XRP in everyday transactions would further boost demand and increasing its price and utility, thus creating a self-sustaining debt reduction mechanism. Legal and regulatory frameworks. The proposal emphasizes the need for significant legislative and regulatory changes to integrate XRP effectively. These include revising essentially the Federal Reserve Act and creating a taxation rules for XRP transactions, and defining XRP's status as a digital asset rather than a security under the Financial Innovations and Technologies 21st Century Act, the FIT21 bill. Regulatory sandboxes would also be established to test XRP's integration into a controlled environment. Interesting enough, the United States government, with a new president now, Donald Trump, is going to be creating a digital sandbox, which every country pretty much has to test out platforms like XRP before they integrate it within a jurisdiction. Furthermore, anti-money laundering, essentially AML, and Know Your Customer KYC compliance protocols would also be enforced to prevent financial crimes, while avoiding undue essential restrictions on consumer adoption. International coordination. global essentially corporations and a cornerstone of the proposal. The US would collaborate with institutions like the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and the Bank of International Settlements, the BIS, to assess XRP's impact on global financial stability. The arrangements, essentially the agreements with trading partners, would standardize cryptocurrency regulations and address cryptocurrency cross-border taxations and issues, and promoting a broader adoption. The proposal highlights XRP as a viable tool to address the US national debt by leveraging its liquidity and utility within a controlled regulatory framework. By integrating XRP into the financial system, the plan aims to establish a pathway for debt repayment, while fostering economic innovation, essentially innovation at the same time. Two birds, one stone. While ambitious, essentially the strategy requires extensive coordination and legislative actions to ensure its successful implementation. Great plan, I'll be honest with you. Two birds, one stone. Use XRP to reduce the national debt by actually using XRP on a daily basis. First, establishing a digital sandbox to test out XRP to be used essentially in the United States. Then using it slowly inside the United States to reduce some of that debt. Then also going international with XRP as a medium of payment to essentially reduce the national debt, and also hold some XRP in some sort of reserves so to keep the price stable for the United States. Incredible. Literally, it would help to reduce the national debt. It will bring innovation for the United States. It will make the payments faster and cheaper around the whole world. And the price goes up on XRP. I mean, what more could you possibly want? It's a great idea. It's better than a Bitcoin reserve, because that will do nothing in the long term. And we still don't know who created Bitcoin. Now, keeping on the topic of XRP, we have a perspective from the former Ripple executive who's came out today and said this: Austin King, a notable ex-executive from Ripple, has spotlighted the promising potential for its substantial revenue growth for the XRP ledger. In the upcoming period, in his insights, delve into Ripple's strict maneuvers as the organization seeks to assert its dominance within the digital asset landscape. So according to Austin King, who is a notable ex-executive of Ripple, XRP is about to be establishing itself. Austin King emphasized Ripple's considerable financial contributions, first of all, to notably exceeding $200 million towards former president, essentially towards President Trump. $200 million. This initiative showcases Ripple's ambition to outpace rivals, contributing over 500% more than competitors like Coinbase and Kraken. With expectations of the XRP ledger advancing beyond mere payment solutions into various financial services, Austin King predicts a staggering 400-fold increase in its revenue model. This could signify essentially a pivotal transformation for Ripple and the cryptocurrency market, propelling essentially global XRP usage to new heights. Ripple is focused on persuading banks and fintech companies to adapt XRP for efficient asset and transaction management on XRP ledger, and potentially shifting the dynamics for networks from networks such as Ethereum and Solana, because XRP is better. It's just a fact. You know, it's not biased opinions. Ethereum is expensive and Solana can't process transactions. Those are facts. Solana can, sometimes process transactions. It's 50-50 with Solana. If you use Solana, you know what I'm talking about. When it comes to Solana, it's 50-50. You never know if the payment is going to go through. We have to try about 12 times before the payment goes through. And with Ethereum, you know for a fact that it's going to be expensive on fees. And also Solana recently became very expensive on fees. But anyways, concerns regarding Ripple's regulatory outlook have been raised by lawyer Bill Morgan, especially in the light of the ongoing uncertainties related to XRP status, aimed essentially at Ripple lawsuits. The future of Ripple's influence on global finance appears tightly linked to evolving regulatory circumstances, particularly essentially with the new SEC taking shape. Ripple's significant financial backing highlights its commitment to making an impact. XRP anticipated revenue growth could redefine its role inside the financial sector, and regulatory clarity is essentially essential for Ripple to fully capitalize on its strategies. As I said, the first green light Ripple needs is that lawsuit to be done with, dismissed or settled. That's the first green light. Second green light, essentially, XRP needs its regulations because it wants to work inside the banking field, and banks need regulations. And you even heard Bank of America today, as I explained, Bank of America's CEO talking about how if the regulations come through, Bank of America and every other bank inside the United States is ready to jump on the financial space when it comes to the crypto ecosystem. And regulatory clarity is actually being the massive procedure for it. Now, analysts also have come out with their own opinions on this matter going forward on XRP, what its value could be, and so on. But look, in the most simplest way to put it, 3 green lights. XRP case gets dismissed or settlements. That's going to be happening now with the new crypto task force, which we talked about at the beginning of this live. We talked about the crypto task force that Mark has created as the temporary chairman of the SEC and put Hester Peirce in control. She's very pro-crypto. She's very pro-Ripple, by the way, Hester Peirce. And now she's in charge of the crypto task force inside the SEC as an SEC commissioner. She's the one that's bringing the rules and regulations. And overnight, the moment Gary Gensler left, a lot of things are in progress. SEC is moving fast. These are words that a lot of people thought they'll never hear. The SEC is moving fast towards rules and regulations. Second of all, another thing that people thought they'll never hear for a while is the banking system in the US being up for it to use blockchain technology. Some people would have told you inside the crypto space last year, people would have told you inside the crypto space, American banks or banks in general will never use crypto assets. Remember that old topic that people used to talk about inside the crypto space, where everybody would say, or a lot of people would say, banks won't use crypto. Who said banks want to use crypto? Do you remember that old thing that people used to say together? And a lot of people would say on the other side, a small minority group of people would say, no, banks want to use crypto. But the larger group would say, no, banks don't want to use crypto. Who wants to use crypto? But now, CEO, Bank of America, coming out on CNBC at the World Economic Forum event today, stating we are ready to enter the crypto space. He's the CEO of Bank of America. Not only him, he said the banking system in general in the US is ready to enter the crypto ecosystem and the financial sector. And we want to start using crypto for payments. So right now we're at a stage where one, the SEC is moving towards rules and regulations at an incredible pace the moment Gary Gensler is gone. Two, Bank of America's CEO making comments on the matter at the World Economic Forum that they are ready for the financial system, the ecosystem of crypto, to be joined with the banking system in the US. They're just waiting for the regulations, which, by the way, is being done right now by the SEC, Hester Peirce. And three, essentially, the SEC is also going to be on the matter of dismissing or settlements regarding their crypto cases. The only cases that the SEC will continue moving forward with is fraud allegations, which Ripple has no fraud allegations inside of it whatsoever. None. So, and also to also point out, the US is also going to be banning USDT as we go down this road. Ethereum is being, getting death threats on that matter. If you didn't join in, and in the middle of the live show, I talked about how Ethereum's foundation that's backing Ethereum is getting death threats right now. Top developers of Ethereum are getting death threats right now because of where Ethereum's money is coming from, apparently. So, as one side of the crypto space, which was Ethereum and USDT that were running the show for the longest time, Ethereum and USDT were running the show for the longest time. Putting Bitcoin to a side because we don't know who's backing it. There's a lot of speculation of who could be backing Bitcoin. So putting that to one side. Tether and Ethereum have been running the crypto space for the longest time. And Tether and Ethereum are about to be pushed out because Ethereum is getting death threats and Tether is about to be delisted pretty much from every G20 country, including the US. That's a perspective coming in from the Coinbase CEO, who said at the same event that the Bank of America CEO was at, That's the Tether's essentially. Coinbase's CEO said he is ready to ban USDT in the US. This is Coinbase's CEO saying he is ready to ban USDT in the US because, in his words, USDT will not be compliant in the US because USDT is the #1 stablecoin, which is a US dollars, which is not an American company. And it couldn't be more simpler than that. Honestly, it couldn't be more simpler than that. And the example that I gave was TikTok. TikTok is a social platform. It's not even a blockchain platform. It's a social platform that people use for sending 60-second videos to each other for a laugh. And America wanted a piece of the pie of TikTok. So what makes Tether think that they don't want a piece of the pie of Tether, or just kick out Tether in general? Because it's not an American company. It's the #1 stablecoin in the world. So as Ethereum and Tether are being pushed to one side, pretty much, American companies are coming in. Regulations are coming in. Money is about to be flowing into the market space, and #1 stablecoin will eventually become RLUSD. XRP will be used. A lot of things are in progress. Honestly, America is heading towards that, title of capital of cryptocurrencies. They genuinely are. Because if the SEC is moving this fast, a day after Gary Gensler left, they went straight into creating a crypto task force, putting Hester Peirce in charge, a green light from President Trump. Even though Trump didn't mention crypto in his big speech, he's showing in his actions that he does care about the crypto space, and he is pushing the crypto space forward. Because crypto task force, day after him, banks are getting ready, regulations are coming through, cases will be dismissed, or settlements. A lot of things are in progress. And on the other side, Ethereum and Tether are being pushed to the sidelines by the looks of it. But also, to point out, all good things must come to an end, which they have now. This is the endings of tonight's live. This was episode 246 of the CMF Live. This was episode 246 of the CMF Live. And we talked about on tonight's episode, if you missed it, I'll just give you the gist of it. We talked about essentially the crypto task force that was created overnight in the SEC to bring pro-regulations for cryptocurrencies. We also talked about tonight's live regarding Coinbase's CEO talking about delisting USDT in the US because they won't be compliant. If they weren't compliant in the MiCA regulations in the EU, they're not going to be compliant in the US either. We talked about MicroStrategy purchasing more Bitcoins and getting ready to purchase even more Bitcoins compared to the recent 11,000 they brought in. We talked about the US Department of Government Efficiency slapped with more lawsuits, the Doge department that Elon Musk created. We talked about Bank of America's CEO making comments about how the US banking system is ready for crypto payments, the financial crypto sector, which is #1 crypto sector, #1 category in general is the financial crypto sector. We also talked about Vitalik Buterin getting death threats, and developers of Ethereum also receiving death threats because of where Ethereum's money is coming from. We also talked about Utah essentially proposing on this live. I talked about how Utah is proposing essentially a crypto reserve portfolio, not just a Bitcoin reserve. I also talked about the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, on this live as well, how they're moving a bit slow compared to the rest of the world. I also talked about on tonight's live regarding more essentially XRP ETF filings and Doge ETF filings, and essentially a lot more ETF filings that are happening today, straight after a Trump presidency. I also talked about the proposal to dissolve the US essentially national debt, the $38 trillion national debt, using essentially XRP, a perspective coming in from Rowan Exchange. I also talked about on tonight's live regarding the matters of the former Ripple executive coming out with his perspective on the market space for XRP's massive potential ahead of itself. So, however, before we do go, let me go say, I don't want to miss anyone's questions, and I never miss anyone's questions. Let me go inside the comment section first. Before we do go, let's see what's going on in there. As I said, this is live, so which means if you do have any questions, put it outside the comment section. Let's see what's happening inside the comment section. I catch token, Trump token at $32 and now sitting at $43. Let's go, Chosen. Do you anticipate an XRP dip moniker? Always anticipate a little bit of a dip when it comes to any crypto project because the market is obviously heavily manipulated still. So always anticipate a little bit of a dip. That's why it's important not to sell your XRP. Facts. Regarding the document that I read you, the only viable cryptocurrency that will hold in value over time is and always will be Bitcoin and ETH. Walton, Eric, what you need to do is understand that there is a much more bigger world out there than Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's like saying to someone, the only car manufacturer that matters is Mercedes and BMW, and nothing else matters. No, there is Aston Martin, there's Ferrari out there, there's Koenigseggs, there's Bugattis, there's essentially, the list goes on and so on and so on. So just saying to somebody, it's only Bitcoin and Ethereum that matters, incorrect. There's a lot more better potential out there that could do Bitcoin and Ethereum's job 10 times better. Bitcoin is slow. That's a fact. I don't want to hear it from anyone saying Bitcoin is not slow. Bitcoin is slow. It's slow. It's a fact. Ethereum is expensive, and that's a fact. If I want to send my friend $50, I could be paying up to $20 or $30 or $40 or even $60 in fees, depending on the congestion. So if I want to send my friend $50 and I have to pay $60 in fees, well, how's that better than the traditional banking system we already have? So Ethereum is expensive, Bitcoin is slow, and those are facts. And there are other crypto projects that could do their job 10 times better than them. Sure, one of them has a limited supply of 21 million tokens. And sure, the other one was established, more quicker and tried to branch out as much fast as it possibly can. But at the end of the day, it's about regulations. But don't just restrict yourself because you want to be a part of this cult of Bitcoin and Ethereum only. We're talking about money here. Don't reject money. Widen your thought pattern. Don't be so close-minded, because if you want to stay close-minded, you could be left behind from potentially making an incredible amount of wealth because you're too stubborn and you want to, eat, breathe, and sleep Bitcoin and Ethereum for no apparent reason. While other people around you will be holding other assets that are incredibly well under regulations. So don't be a moron. Honestly, widen your thought pattern. Because getting left behind because you want to be stubborn is just stupid. Genuinely, it's just stupid. Don't get left behind because you want to be stubborn. We talked about the US essentially using XRP last year. We did. Yes, that's facts, JP. Miles, what about Amici Pay? ACH is moving a little bit slow right now. Preferably, you want to shift over your ACH into XRP, X11, XDC, and HBAR. Miles, I still hold some in ACH, no doubt about it, but more in the others. Miles, if the government did this, in financial advice in a sort of way, Miles, if the government did decide to use XRP to kill off the debt, at what degree would that push up XRP's value amount? An incredible value. It will go incredibly. Because if the US did that, the rest of the countries around the world will follow the American footsteps. So if the US did the XRP, medium of payments, then you can expect what the rest of the world is going to do. Great live. Take care, Miles and CMF. Ray, see you tomorrow, but at the same time as usual. Miles, if you take 38 trillion and divide it by 4 billion, you only need XRP's price to reach 9,500 to pay off the debt. Low. Thanks, Legend. Night and day, CMF. Shelly, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Thanks, Miles, for the 246th episode. Let's go, Stormy. Night, Miles and CMF. Pablo, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. And great live tonight, Miles. Good night and see you tomorrow. Mike, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Thanks, Miles. Good night, CMF, and great live, brother. Commento, see you tomorrow, brother, sometimes usual as well. Thanks for all the news. Awesome live, as usual. Good night, Miles. See you same time tomorrow. Artistic, see you tomorrow, same time. Thanks, Miles, for all the news, and good night, everyone. See you tomorrow. Orphan, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Thank you, Miles, for an informative live. You're amazing. Night, CMF. Joe, let's go. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual. Thanks so much. Good night, Miles. Good night, brother Miles, and good night to my crypto family. God bless you all. Funky brother, let's go. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual. And I pray that your mother is doing better as well. Sorry about your mother. Good night, Miles and CMF. Great live. Thanks, Miles. Free feather. Let's go. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual. Good night, Miles and family. Many thanks, Ian. Let's go. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Semper, good stuff as always. Good stuff as usual. Miles, tomorrow. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Let's go. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Ian, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Free and forever. Good night, Miles and family. Many thanks. Let's go. Good stuff as usual, Miles. Semper, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Great live as always. Have a great night, Miles and CMF. Stormy, see you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well. Good night, Miles and all the CMF. Thank you for a great live. All the news. JP, let's go tomorrow. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual as well, brother. Broaden your horizon. Let's go. Facts. There will be one last dip. Last massive dip, no. And dip in terms of manipulation, yes. But a massive dip you essentially consider as an outcome, but not the outcome. Nice one, Miles. Great live. Let's go, Zach. See you tomorrow, sometimes as usual. Thank you, Miles. I messaged you, Susie. I'll check her after the live. Thanks, Miles. Good night, CMF. Let's go, Ghost Burner. I will see everybody tomorrow. Same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. CMF and other new members that are watching the CMF live. If you already haven't, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, retweet if you already haven't, and tune in tomorrow, same timing as usual, 11:25 p.m. UK time. Monday to Friday, this live show's on, and this is episode 246 of the CMF Live. We are on episode 246 right now. Tune in for episode 247 tomorrow. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. See everybody tomorrow. Same time as usual.